Hello everyone. I could see a lot of people, they are participants here. So if you have any queries, anything which you need to know or ask before I start talking about the lecture part of it. All of you people who have joined the session, Miss Sabina, Miss Swati, Miss Renjusha, are you listening? Am I audible? Am I audible? The participants who have joined this live session, can you hear me? Miss Sabina is there, Miss Asna Sharon is there, Renjusha, Miss Renjusha, Miss Aswathi. I need to get any response from your side. Yes, no, anything?
Ma'am,
Okay. So can you just tell me where you all are from? From which part of the country?
I'm from Kerala.
Okay, you're from Kerala. And others? Miss Asna is from Kerala. And what about the others? What are you doing, Asna Sharon? You're in which course? I mean, what are you pursuing?
I'm a PG student, integrated
You're a
PG,
PG
yes,
student and which subject?
development studies.
Development studies from Kerala, right? So you have
Yeah,
joined this course of mine, the social policy.
yeah,
Okay. So did it help? Have you seen the lectures?
yeah. It's all good. It's helpful.
Okay.
It's giving me how the
Sorry, you're not audible, Miss Asna. Hello? Are you there?
sorry, ma'am. I have an ongoing class in my department.
Okay, okay. Okay,
And
okay. Okay, okay. And any other participants? So if you have any query, anyone who like to know, Renjusha, Sabina, are you there, Miss Sabina? Renjusha, Miss Renjusha, and Miss Swati. See, it is better that the communication is two-way. It will help you as well as it will help me to know about I mean, what is the purpose for you joining the course, or and how this course has helped you, social policy and planning. If I would get some kind of feedback, or not feedback, but if you have any queries, any I mean, any kind of suggestions to which you need to inquire, or at least we should have a conversation, a communication, that what do you expect or what do you want to know further. I think
I have a doubt. How was the exam?
yes.
Is it is it in the form of written or MCQ?
It would be MCQs. It would be MCQs. Your exam would be on MCQs. You must be going, I mean, you must be attending the weekly assignments, right?
Yeah, yeah. We are registered exam. We are the compulsory courses. Me and my
Okay,
friend is
okay,
going for the course.
okay, okay. So you might be doing the weekly assignments, right? So all the questions in your final exam, it is all MCQs, right? Which is from the weekly assignment as well as from the lectures which I have delivered. So it is all related to MCQs, okay? And anything else is there?
We did the exam hall ticket. We already registered.
You have registered for the exam, right? The registration for the exam has been done earlier. For exam enrollment, you have to also register for the exam enrollment apart from this course. I mean, when you have registered for this course, and when you want to take the exam, you might have registered for the exam earlier. Miss Asna? Are you listening?
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, you
I
have,
registered.
you might have
If,
registered earlier.
yeah, I registered
Yeah,
the exam.
for the exam to take the paper, right? You
Yeah,
must
yeah,
have paid for your examination fees, right?
yeah. I paid the exam fees.
Yes,
But
yes. So you will get the ID, you'll get the hall ticket when the time will come. You'll get some kind of notification for that.
okay, okay.
Okay.
You know,
So you
uh,
can. Hmm. Yes. Anything else?
thank-
Actually, it is not very audible from your side. I think there is some internet issue or something. So the voice is there are certain breaks in your queries.
sorry, ma'am. I'm in the department and I have classes today.
Okay, okay. No, no issues, no issues, no problem. No problem. Do you know these people? I mean, from your course, how many of them have joined this paper, Social Policy and Planning, your friends, or since you are doing PG in development studies? So, are you aware that any other friend or any other classmate of yours have joined this course?
It's one of my friends, Rafna.
Rachna. Okay.
Rafna. Yeah. We are
Okay.
both doing the assignment together.
Okay, both of you are in this course, right?
Yeah, yeah. Today she have the presentation and she is in the class.
Okay, okay, okay. So this is your final year, Asna?
No, this is her fourth year. I'm integrated student.
Okay, okay, this is fourth. Okay, okay. Okay. So I hope this has helped you out, this policy paper of the one which I had taught, the social policy and planning, and there's a lot of clarity in terms of how policies are made and what are the various policies and all.
It's helpful for our internship also. When we
Okay.
studying that we can
Mm-hmm. Where do you do your internship?
in Kerala district,
Mm-hmm.
Kerala state,
In which area?
Malappuram
I mean,
district,
what?
Perindalmanna.
Sorry?
Perindalmanna.
Okay. What was the area of your internship? I mean, in which area did you do? I mean, about what was the
Minority community policy and policy.
okay, okay. Policy development for minorities, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's under the MLA.
Okay, okay, okay. Good, okay. So I hope this paper had helped you in knowing about policy and understanding policy and how it has been created, how it has been formulated, right?
It's very useful, and we are
Okay.
recommending our friends is also to take this course.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Asna. It's, thank you so much. Anyone else has anything to say or they want to talk about? Okay, just give me 2 minutes, okay? Just 2 minutes. Come. Today, I will be talking about social policy formulation. Okay, what is the process of social policy? Upload decide, right? And earlier, I had discussed about various policies, even the welfare part of it. And today, I'll briefly explain once again that how policies are formulated. Even I would, if I'll get time, I'll talk about the sources of policy. you could get to know how policies are equally mean just a the process of policy formulation, and I will be discussing again that how policies are being made. And policy formulation, again, it is a very important part, and it is a continuous process. And this consists of various stages, starting from formulation, from implementation, and then finally evaluation. In fact, Birkeland, they observed that policy process is a system which translates policies, policy ideas into how it could be formulated, what are the various steps in it, how it should be implemented, and finally how it should be evaluated so that could they have positive effects. So policy formulation is a very different activity to policy implementation, and this phase is devoted in generating various options about what to do about a public problem, and it is almost inherent in form all forms. In fact, it is a process. If we try to define policy formulation, then it can be defined as a process of identifying and addressing possible solutions to policy problems, or exploring various other options or alternatives which would be available for addressing a certain issue, a problem, then developing or using formulation tools, which becomes an important part in the entire process. And the tools which could be used, like if we talk about the formulation tools, so the tools forecasting, these tools would include forecasting, exploring future problems through the use of scenarios, tools for identifying and recommending policy options, and it is this stage of policy process in which the options which are there, they might help me resolve the various problems, issues, and also it recognizes the agenda setting which are identified, refined, appraised, and formalized. So the process of identifying and comparing alternative actions will shape the subsequent stage, right? So in fact, in short, we can say that the idea and the concept of policy formulation practically refers to the process of identifying courses of action, selecting alternatives, options, resolving issues. Okay, so in fact, in recent years, the number of potentially deployable policy tools have expanded massively, and they include various types that may be considered to fall into both positivist as well as post-positivist categories, which has been latter been inspired by the critiques of the role of technocratic analysis, and also a concern to address subtle influences which could lead to certain discourses and ideologies, right? So policy formulation is quite a critical phase of the entire policy process, and the success or the failure of any policy would depend largely upon the policy designs and the policy formulation. So it involves the process of identifying, crafting a set of policy alternatives to address a problem, and narrow down the alternatives to arrive at a final policy decisions. In fact, according to Cochrane and Malone, the policy formulation, it takes up what questions, what is the plan for dealing with the problem, what are the goals and priorities and objectives, what options are available to achieve these goals, and what are the cost and benefits of each of the options, what externalities, positive or negative, are associated with each alternative. And as Thomas Dye puts it, policy formulation, it takes place in government bureaucracy, in interest group offices, in legislative community rooms, in meetings of special commissions, to in think tanks, with details often formulated by the people or those who are, or the experts who are part of the policy structure. So it becomes very important to see that, and it is generally recognized that it is a critically important but relatively inscrutable stage of the entire policy process, with very different actors interacting, often under the intense and focused political pressures, or from advisors, or from lobbyists, or from the interest group. So the actors involved in policy making are often said to constitute a policy advisory system comprising of decision makers. Mainly or chiefly it would be the politicians, or it would be the head of the governance, or the people in the bureaucratic system or the bureaucracy, knowledge producers, providers, knowledge brokers, experts, opinion coming from different fields, who have a larger picture, or have a wider view of the world, and different experiences. So policy formulation usually occurs, as I said, that in government bureaucracies office, and the formal channels, and there would be the two process, the informal channels as well as the formal channels of policy formulation. The formal channels would include legislative, executive, and the political wings of the government, and the informal channels of policy formulation would include political parties, civil society organizations, community-based groups, private for-profit firms, trade unions, etc. So in fact, the informal channels, again, if we talk about, they could be individual citizens also, it could be pressure groups, media, and formal channels would be constitutional framework. You are the constitution of the country, as I discussed earlier also in the previous lectures about the sources. When we talk about the sources of policy formulation, how a constitution becomes an important aspect, important tool in providing key information while framing policies for the vulnerable and marginalized population, like the DPSP, the Directive Principles of State Policy, even your fundamental rights, even your human rights. They provide a base, to the policy formulation. In fact, constitutionally, India, which has been described as a union state, so the policy for population formulation process in India is shaped within the framework of the constitutional system. The preamble of the Indian Constitution declares India as a democratic republic, which means that the government is said to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. So thus the sovereignty of the people makes it clear that the final authority, which determines the policies for the countries, lies with the people. That is, the policy should reflect the will of the people, right? It becomes very important that the policy is a reflection of what the people need and how their needs would be met. Then the parliamentary system, of course, the parliamentary system, when we talk about the parliamentary system, the Indian system of government is of parliamentary type, of where both the center as well as the state takes part in the formation of any important agenda or policies or schemes or plan of action, and which consists of the political executive, right? The council of ministers and the administrative executives, the civil servants, all are included in this government system. And this parliamentary system is believed to be efficient and effective in all matters of legislation. So policy formulation and so on. As far as formulation is concerned, the role of the administrative executive is to assist the ministers, to assist the ministers, and how they help in bringing about the ministers are responsible and even answerable to the parliament and the legislature regarding policy matters. And so if policies formulated by the government become unacceptable, the council of ministers become responsible to it and must even resign in cases if they lose the confidence of the legislature. So the federal, the legislative, and they become an important pillars of the parliamentary system. And if you talk about the federalism part of it, though it has a unitary features, the Indian constitutional system is basically federal in nature. A conscious effort has been made to define and demarcate clearly the areas of policy formulation between the central and the state, right? And when we say that there is a clear-cut demarcation between the central and the state government, by listing the subjects, we have in the central list, state list, concurrent list. So usually the central government enjoys great powers for the formulation of policies in the development sectors. However, even implementation of policies involves both the participation and support of the central and the state government, and the two have to jointly share the responsibility for making policies. So this intergovernment relation gains a wider significance in policy. Now, again, if we talk about the legislature part of it, again, even the parliament is supreme policy making body, and the legislature reigns supreme. Even the prime minister is dependent upon the support of the legislature to remain in the office. And the parliament in India makes the laws and policies and legitimizes the decisions of the government. So parliament serves as a forum for public debate on issues of public policies. So legislative powers resides in the elected members of parliament within the power devoted to them by the constitution. So the parliament becomes a final determinant of a policy, right? Then we talk about the executive part of it. The executive is equally important because the executive mainly consists of the cabinet. They are the most important, the secretariat, the cabinet ministries. Look, right, so Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, National Development Council and Planning Commission Secretariat, now Niti Aayog, which is this think tank, secretaries, departments, civil bodies, and judiciary, they all play a very significant role in contributing that what kind of policies has to be created, for whom the policy should be made, what are the goals and objectives of the policy, how it could be implemented, who all are responsible. There is a sense of accountability and responsibility attached when the policies are being made. Then there's certain techniques of, when we are making a policies, a lot of techniques has to be applied in reaching or in bringing about sound and a rational policy, converting the policy proposal into actual practice. And for this, there are certain techniques like, for enhancing the policy formulation process. And these are cost benefit analysis, economic forecasting, operation research and system analysis, and the PPBS approach. Now, the cost benefit analysis is a very useful technique which is used in the field of economics, mathematics, many other fields. And the technique is of great help which to the policymakers while framing gender specific policies or any other kind of policies which advises on the formulation and development of public policy. So the cost of the policy or program are calculated and it are set against the benefits of it can offer to that population or to that group. So the potential benefit of the policy is calculated, and it also helps to offer a program which would offer maximum benefit. Okay, so it could be calculated that which policy would be better and what are the benefits of it, what are the costs involved in it. Then economic forecasting models were again developed by and OECD countries, and most of the government have this model of national economy, which is to show the impact of policy changes on the economy. So such models, they have a strategic role to play in formulating economic policies, and it helps to understanding that what would be repercussions on it, how it the forecast might help in various assumptions, like it would contribute to economic welfare growth of the individual or improved standard of living. And it also helps in justifying that how the policy and expenditure plans are useful to explore various other alternatives in the system. Then we have the operation research and system analysis. Again, a very important technique in the form, and this, according to this technique, it is a basis for action and improvement. The values of rationality and efficiency, utilization of qualitative methods. In fact, the purpose of this strategy or this approach or this technique is to help policymakers determine a policy and actions in a very scientific manner. And it also helps a policymaker to choose a course of action by investigating the problem and selecting the alternatives. And then, of course, the planning, programming, budgeting system, that is the PPBS, planning, programming, budgeting system, which is first adopted in the US in 1960s. Just a minute. Okay, so this actually the PBS system, the planning, programming, budgeting, it was adopted, and it was used for enhancing the efficiency of administrative performance by improving the policy process more effective. So the technique was to promote it as a means for improving policy making and the performance throughout the national mechanism. So these are the certain techniques. Then there are certain models of policy which helps to clarify thoughts about the policy formulation and to develop the relevant knowledge, like the rational model, incremental model, group theory model, the elite theory model, institutional model, Graham theory model, and the system model. Now, if you talk about the rational model, the policy making, it also known as the decision making model. And under this model, the rationality principle emphasizes that policy formulation is making a choice among policy alternatives on rational grounds, right? So rationality, as the name suggests, rational policy making is to choose one best option based on rationality. And it argues that in order to formulate effective policies, the policy makers should be more logical, rational, and should have a scientific temperament. And it in fact it says that these are important steps in identifying, that is value of preference, finding alternatives, and then talking about how they can be effective. Then incremental model to policy formulation, which was been put by Charles Lindblom in his book Policy Making Process. And of all the models, the incremental model is equally popular because of the fact that it fits well with what actually goes on in the government. Policies generally have societal character, since they determine the fate of the people. And for this reason, any policy should not be formulated on a larger scale without understanding its repercussion. So Lindblom has proposed the incremental model of policy making, and according to Lindblom, no policy or maker or government would like to formulate a new policy. If at all policy makers want to formulate a new policy, he would do it on a larger scale. So they are introduced on a not on a smaller scale. Then the group theory model, the group theory model, which has been put forward by Japanese sociologist Gaetano Mosako, and it is a group theory. It is an approach which seeks to maintain equilibrium in the society, balancing the interest of various groups. And according to this theory, public policy is a product of group struggle. Individuals having common interests and demands join hands together and form formal or informal groups, right? And then we have the elite theory model. And according to this model, public policies are formulated as per the preference and values of the elitist class. So this model actually postulates that a society is divided into few segments, those who have the power and those who do not have. So policy in this social setup is not determined by the people or the masses, right? In fact, the ruling elite, that is the political executive, decides the policy, and this is finally carried out by the bureaucrats who form part of the next segment of the elites. Okay, however, this is not effective in a very democratic country. An institutional model is there. Institutional model of the public policy is formulated through cooperative effort, and policy formulation is just not an individual effort, but many people or many agencies, they come together, they join hands and formulate a policy by following a set of rules and procedures. And these institutions not only constitute crucial and significant nodal points, but they also determine the policy of adoption. Then there is a game theory model. Then a game theory model talks about strategic decisions that players make in competition, and where each player or participant seeks to maximize and minimize losses. So formulating a particular policy may be gainful, it would be quite effective, and it would be gainful when you seek to understand, or rather you become more of aware of the consequences, and have maybe gainful, it may be gainful to one section of the society, whereas it might not be effective to the other section. So one participant, one set of individual might reap the benefits and other might not. Then we have the system model, and according to this model, policy is the response of the political system to the changing demands and desires of the people. And this could include various interrelated institutions and activities in the societies. So this is how the policy, these are various models of policy formulation. Now, if we look into the process of policy formulation, there are various components. Thomas Dye has pointed out various stages, like problem identification, agenda setting, problem identification, agenda setting, policy formulation, policy legitimation, policy implementation, and as well as policy evaluation. There have been a lot of scholars, there had been various people who had been talking about various stages. Some say there is problem identification, some has defined, James Anderson has also dealt with the description of the policy process, and his model of policy process have 5 stages, like problem identification and agenda formulation, then formulation, adoption, implementation, and evaluation. So there are a lot of scholars, they have given different stages of policy analysis. But ultimately, if I would note it down, then or if I would come to the conclusion part of it, all the if I say the steps are almost similar to each other. First, in any policy process, policy formulation process, the foremost step would be identifying underlying problem. First is for any analytical approach, the first step is to identify whether and why there is a problem at all, and then you need to define the problem, which involves moving from mundane descriptions to a more abstract conceptual plane, right? You need to understand, an attempt has to be taken up to made to diagnose the form of market failure that is confronted, or need to diagnose the issues, the problems, and then determining the next steps. So first, the foremost is a thorough identification of the underlying issue, problem, and how this issue could be tackled. The second step would be determining policy alternatives. Now, the next step is to, in the context of problem, is to define what would be the policy alternatives. That is, what would be the alternative courses of action which could be taken, how the government could intervene, and how the government intervention can take any form. And it is important to determine which kind of positive, or which kind of intervention would be most suitable for a particular problem. Then forecasting and evaluating alternatives, having identified the underlying issue and having determined the alternatives for the policy choice, the policy analyst now would evaluate the consequences of each alternative, right? He will turn to relevant models for forecasting consequences. And in the case of, in fact, for every, it is necessary to predict all the effects of the proposed policies when you're looking into various consequences of each and every alternative. What are the pros and cons, and how would be effective? So after evaluating the various alternatives and giving some kind of a future prediction that what would be the after effects or how effective it would be, then you select the policy, right? The next step is policy analysis, relates to making the preferred choice. What would be the preferred choice? That is policy selection. course of action. And this situation may be so simple for the policymaker that can simply look at the consequences predicted for each alternative, and they would select the best alternative which would be effective in bringing about or in looking after the policy, or taking, or it may be well in terms of selection a particular alternative in order of preference with various possible outcomes. So and then you talk about the policy implementation. Now again, the policy process is a very important part, and when you talk about after the selection part of it, the implementation, that is the action, becomes relevant. Now in this analysis, the success of any public policy can be measured in terms of how well it is implemented. So policy implementation is a very crucial, is a very critical part of the government scheme of actions, and how good the political system, how the organization is functioning. And in fact, no policies can be successful if it is not been properly implemented. So implementation phase is a phase between a policy statement and operation. Now you're putting into action, so it seeks to determine whether this organization, the institutional, is able to carry out and achieve the stated objectives of its policies. Because in the implementation phase, you will get to know that how the policy has been moving ahead, how it has been successful in achieving the objectives. And with the implementation, it also comes the monitoring part of it, that you need to constantly monitor the policy in terms of in which direction the policy is moving, how it is bringing about benefits, what would be the success ratio. If it is not moving according to the expected outcome, then what alterations can be done. And it becomes a subset of the, monitoring becomes a subset of the implementation process, and it is an activity which occurs in the course of implementing a policy or program, right? And then of course, policy outcome. When you talk about the policy outcome, the next stage is the policy outcome, and they are different from policy outputs. Policy outputs and policy outcomes, they are two different things. Policy outputs are the actual decision of the implementers. When you are doing forecasting and do a prediction, you come to the actual, you decide that this would be the policy output. If I, for example, if I say that if I'm making policy for women empowerment, and this policy for women empowerment, the expected output is that the women would be more confident, they would be decision makers, they would be engaged in economic activities. So this is expected output, that would be the actual decisions. And the concept of outcome lays stress on what actually happened to the target group intended, which has to be affected by the policy. The outcome output is more of, it is more of a kind of decisions which you have made, but the outcome part is actually what had happened and how it has affected the population, the target population, and in this case, that how beneficial it had become to it. So that this is how outcome would be. So the policy outputs were achieved. Sometimes it happens when the outputs were achieved but not the outcomes. Then evaluation, the final stage is of the evaluation, and it is an important pattern of activity. When talk about the evaluation part, it is concerned with what happens once a policy has been put into effect, and it is a kind of an assessment to this overall effectiveness of, and the evaluation performs several functions in policy analysis. It provides reliable information about the policy, its performance. It measures the impact of policies. When you evaluate a policies, it gives you a thorough analysis of the functions of when the policy has been implemented, like reliable information about policy performance. It measures the impact of policies on society. It reveals the extent to which the particular goals have been achieved or it is bound to achieve. It also helps to understand the degree to which the policy issues have been resolved, and evaluation helps clarify the values that underline the selection of various goals and objectives. And it also results in efforts to restructure policy problems. It may also contribute to the emergence of new goals and potential solutions. So, evaluation during the implementation process of a policy might suggest its termination. So, when you have evaluated, then you would decide whether the policies, after measuring the pros and cons, whether after evaluated whether the policy has been a success or had been a failure, and then you try to terminate the stage of that policy. And in fact, the designing of evaluation is also very important, that what kind of designing tool or designing methodology you are adopting when you're talking about the policy part of it. Okay, so these are the various way of discussing about the process of policy formulation. And I have tried to simplify it by speaking by in my previous lectures also. This is just a brief of those lectures, that how policy formulated, how they are made, how they are effective, how they are implemented, and what would be the possible course of action when it is being implemented, and how it is being evaluated. I guess the process again, which I have explained, the process of policy formulation has been read out to you, or it has been explained to you in a very simplified manner. And I hope you do not have any difficulty in understanding, in grabbing the content of not only this lecture of mine, but all the previous lectures of mine. So again, I would like the participant to, if they have any queries, if they want to know, if they want to ask anything, they feel free to discuss. Just now I was speaking to Miss Asna. I think she has left because she was engaged in some class. But any other participant who's there and he would like to ask or inquire about anything, you're most welcome. And I hope these lecture of mine, social policy and planning, had helped you, had assisted you, had guided you in your own course curriculum, whatever course you are pursuing, whether you are undergraduate or whether you are a postgraduate, or even if you are a PG scholar or and PhD scholar, or you're doing some research. Because policies are very important. They're instrumental in shaping in fact, in shaping the overall overall scenario of a country. In fact, policies are made keeping in view of the socio-political structure of a nation or of a country, that how and for which population, especially when you have a democracy form of government. So as I mentioned, that the constitution, the preamble, it says it's a democratic republic, sovereign. So it gives you that freedom, the choice to the state becomes imperative. The state becomes obliged to give those benefits, to look after the welfare of the people. So it is very important to understand how policies are made, how they are shaped, and how they are implemented. And as I mentioned, your policies has always been there. It is just that before the policy as name and nomenclature, now it is more relevant in terms of policy. But before that, the concept of welfare has always been there. Talking about looking after the needs and expectations of the people. Now it has given a more structured form, that is in the form of policy. But even the laws, legislations, enact it's these are also a part of the policy structure, schemes, various in the initial 5-year plans which were made, 12th 5-year plans, till 12th 5-year plan, that was also a key holder, or key player in the formulation of policy. So I guess I think I would now, if there aren't any queries, if aren't any suggestions, so I guess I would close this window. And if you have any, I can still take up any questions or any query if anyone has. Miss Renjusha, Sibina, Miss Aswati, anyone? So I assume that this live session has been helpful, because I had already explained about policy. And I think since there aren't any queries, I guess you don't have any queries as such. So I should call off this live session now. If you have any other query, please. I have discussed about the process of policy formulation in details in my previous lectures. Also, I have spoken about it. And I don't see anyone. I mean, I was talking to Miss Asna. I think she left because she had a class. Do you have any queries, anyone? Okay, in that case, I should end this live session of mine since no one is there to, I mean, they do not have any queries. I hope the paper and the course has been well read to you. There's conceptual clarity in terms of policy making, in terms of what are the policies, welfare measures, planning part of it, also social planning. In if I have one more live session and I will be discussing about social planning and how it is related to social policy. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you all.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you give us the PDF of the notes?
Yeah, sure. We are working on that because we have received the transcript quite late. So you will get the PDF once all the transcripts has been done. We are in the process of making the PDF of those the lectures which I have delivered. So very soon you will be getting, before your exams, you will get the PDF of these lectures and notes. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. And can you give us a model question paper?
Model question paper. You might be attending your weekly assignments, right? The weekly assignments, every day, every week you get weekly assignments. That is a kind of a model paper for the final exams. 50 MCQs will be given to you. So the weekly assignments, please do regularly attend and do your weekly assignments. That is a kind of a model question paper. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for the information, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Most welcome. Any more queries? I assume that it is done for today. Can I call off this meeting? Can I end the discussion now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Anything else? Anyone wanted to ask or? Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for being there in this live session.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.